Why are there no chairs? Well, like in the original series, if you didn't need something, you didn't want to spend the money on it. And you only film on one set at a time. So if they were filming in the briefing room, they would steal the chairs from the bridge. And when they were done with the chairs here, they would just bring them back to the bridge. So just, again, save money. Save money. You were looking at some of the items here, the rocker switches, the tape cartridge, okay? None of this is real. This is all fake. This is all resin. Some of the switches on the sets are real, and you can use them as a rocker switch. But they're very expensive today. If you're not going to use them very often, why bother? People know what you want them for now if you buy them in color. So you make resin casts and you do it. But the good news is you can just take them out, and then you can change the orientation and say, okay, that one's on and that one's off. The same with the tape slots. Why put a hole in the table if you're not going to use it? That's a piece of black masking tape.
Oh, for heaven's
That's all it is. That's all it is. And they came up with the idea of this tri-viewer so that everybody around the table could see it. It wasn't a screen up on a wall like most shows would have had it, but it came up with that as well. Now, we talked before about the fact that they didn't really care about where they moved things. It was more to get the show done than it was for anything else. So, I'm going to ask you to go back at some point and watch The Naked Time. In The Naked Time, it's the episode where they all catch a disease on a planet, and they come back up and it's being transferred from person to person in their sweat. And there's a scene towards the end where Spock is in the briefing room, and he's crying and lamenting because he wasn't able to love his mother. And Kirk comes in and he's starting to get the disease, and he's trying to snap Spock out of it. So they're standing on this side of the table, and Kirk is whacking him across the face. And Spock finally has had enough, and he whacks Kirk across the table. He whacks him across the table. Kirk gets up on the other side and comes back to the table, and he's staring at Spock. Now, when you watch it again, when Kirk and Spock are here, everything you see on the table is on the table. When Kirk goes rolling over the table, it's completely empty. When he comes up on the other side and comes back, everything's back. Everything's back. The other thing about this room is it's a swing room, meaning it could be something else. So you can see those arches in the back. If you watch Star Trek, you'll see that this became a rec room. You take the table out, you put some white circular tables in here. You put some low back chairs, not the high back chairs, but the low back chairs. You put a food replicator on the wall. A game of three-dimensional chess or two, round playing cards, and you've got a rec room. A cup of coffee, and you have a rec room. It's also been the chapel in Balance of Terror. And they put a wall up here, and they put a little podium here for Kirk to stand on to conduct his wedding ceremony. 2 kneelers, a bunch of benches. They took out those 2 walls, put in a door, and now we have a chapel. So these rooms become very important because they can become something else.
Mm-hmm. So if you want to trickle in, you bring in the rest of them.
Hey guys,
Hi.
how are you?
Good, how are you?
Okay.
I gave them the not so amazing tour.
Nice to meet you.
Walkthrough.
Nice to meet you. I'll take you backwards in a bit. So here's the last, what I found to be the cool thing about this. And I only learned this recently, and like I said, I've been a fan for like 50 years, right? 55 years. So Gene Roddenberry envisioned Starfleet to be the Navy. And then the ship would be a naval vessel. Look at the table. Look at the shape of the table. It's an aircraft carrier.
Oh.
See? It's an aircraft carrier. Whoever designed it, maybe it was Matt Jeffries, who was the designer of a lot of things, but somebody knew what they were doing. Questions on the briefing room? So that's just static. I'm actually having something built that would have the lights working on it. Hasn't gotten here yet, but it's coming. It's coming. Questions? Everybody cool? Keep on walking? Keep on walking.